I'm going to be probably needing some of that water at some point.
Well, you're not going to get a lot of it because this is my special moon charged water. Do you know that?
I don't, but I'm going to let you have your moon charge. And I'm going to get myself.
Oh, he's getting it. Are you curious about my moon charged water?
Yes, I think that should be the first topic of
Great.
Moon Charged Water by Alyssa Tabbitt Smith. Well, let's hop into it because we have a lot of fun stuff to talk about today. Welcome everyone to the Freddie and Alyssa Show. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, like, comment, all that fun YouTube stuff. If you're watching on Facebook and you want to like the page, Benji's all for it. You can do that as well, which would be great. And if you're listening on a platform like iTunes, you want to leave us a 5-star review if you think we deserve it, that would be even amazinger.
More amazing.
More amazing. Or amazinger. I think the same thing at this point. Everyone gets it. We've been putting up content now for almost 4 years, and we couldn't be doing what we love without your support. So thank you very much for tuning in every single Wednesday, checking out our podcast. Today, we have a sponsor. I'm going to give you a guess. You know what the sponsor is? 3, 2, 1. Let's do it. Today's sponsor is Lugs. Let's head back to the golden age of the 90s. That was when the fun and stylish Lugs brand first found its footing as a leader within the footwear and fashion space. Fast forward to today, and Lugs is crushing it, offering a full range of stylish footwear for the entire family. With the holidays coming up just a couple months away, let's start our pre-holiday shopping. Oh my goodness, the pre-holiday shopping is already here. You can do that by heading to lugs.com. That is Lugz.com to find the most versatile and stylish boots and canvas looks. The amazing news, we have 30% off for you. You can use the code for any full-priced item on lugs.com. So again, that's for full-priced items. And if you use the code FreddieAlyssa30 at checkout, you will receive 30% off your order. So again, you can head to Lugs, Lugz.com, and use code FreddieAlyssa30 at checkout for 30% off. Thank you, Lugs, and happy early shopping to all of you. We have another gift to purchase now on our list, on our Santa list, because we have a new addition to the family.
We do. It's kind of perfect that I'm wearing my auntie hat today because this morning our niece was born. Mama and baby are healthy and happy, and I'm not going to share any details just yet.
We have to leave it to the mom.
I guess the mom can be the one to announce first, but I don't think she's really announced the name of the baby, what the baby's weight was, nothing about it. So I guess we'll wait for my sister Brianne.
Big baby.
Big baby.
Big baby.
We'll say quite a relief for my sister not to be carrying that.
Big baby.
Beautiful baby, though. You know what's funny?
Beautiful and big
she
baby.
looks like she's about 3 months old already.
Yeah, she
looks really healthy and glowy. She's got a great glow on her skin. I was really looking at everything.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
She looks like she's about to take her first steps.
We got a toddler on our hand.
That's what even our brother-in-law said. He's like, say hello to the toddler,
Yeah.
or whatever. So
It's
I forget what he said. He made a really funny joke about it. But yeah, everything went smooth. Her parents are in New Jersey right now, so they're all together, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
And so now the family just got bigger, and now, you know, in the next couple months, the family's going to be here in Florida,
Yes.
so we can all be together. So that's our goal. If we can have the 2 little ones and our sister and brother-in-law all here with her parents who already live here for the holidays, that would be awesome.
Amazing.
So things are looking like that's going to happen. And now they just have extra cargo.
Now they've got extra cargo, but oh, such precious cargo. I cannot wait to squeeze her. And it's interesting because obviously due to the pandemic, they're at the situation where it's only 1 visitor per day. So if someone goes tomorrow to go and see the baby and my sister, it only can be 1 person. So it's like, will my mom or dad go, or will Jim, our brother-in-law, go back? You know, how do you handle
The husband
that?
counts as a visitor?
Yes. Isn't that so naughty? I mean, I get it. I do. But
I would understand if the husband was able to stay every day.
right, no, he's
Because
the visitor.
so he has to give up a day.
Yeah.
Well, our parents would be screwed because we wouldn't give up a day.
Never, baby.
We wouldn't give up a day. You know what I
Never.
would do? I would dress up as a doctor. And I would just like carry a clipboard and have a stethoscope and just not pronounce it, of course, because that would give me away. And I would just like walk around and I would just say, hey, I would just like kind of look into rooms, knock, and then kind of like just fiddle with the clipboard, maybe give a thumbs up to the family.
Security will come
then I
up
would
to
be-
you and go, sir, this is not Grey's Anatomy.
Well, what I would do is have a zipper in the back or Velcro, and then I would rip off the doctor uniform, and then I'd be security.
Wow.
So I would be able to
Plan
go
this
back
out.
and forth, or I could just stay home and allow
Family to go.
family to go. So I have many options, but
Either way.
by the time we have a kid, hopefully there won't be any more restrictions,
I know,
and everyone can
I
just,
know.
do
But
that.
isn't it crazy how back in the day you would find out about the birth of a baby through a phone call? Maybe if you decided to do a mailer, I mean, I'm talking a really long time ago of like, oh, this is our newborn, like a little
Yeah.
postcard. But now it's social media.
Yeah.
It's like, if you don't post, how will people know? Word of mouth? Talking on the phone? What's that?
You have to call everyone. The baby's here. I feel like everybody had like one of my best friends, Brett. He is a dad now, and I feel his original date was October 16th because that's my dad's birthday. So I remember being like, oh, okay, but his son came. I want to say like end of September. I don't know the exact date, but
What's
end of
his
September. Eddie. Eddie, what a good name.
I love
As
that.
George Carlin always says, Eddie, that's a great name. But yeah, it's super cute that like all of our like friends and family are having kids. And I told my friend, I was like, he's like, yeah, Eddie's, healthy, things are going well. And I said, how's it feel? And he goes, like a normal baby, soft. And he's a jokester like that, but yeah, he said it feels like really great. It's just like interesting seeing parents now, because until our friends and contemporaries and like relatives that are around our age started having kids, it now puts almost a new definition of parent. Because the only thing that meant parent to me growing up was my parents, who are 30 years older than me, so it always seemed like an older thing. And now that people younger than us, our age, around our same age, are now parents. You just realize that it's the biggest deal, but like also no one changed.
Right.
Like everyone's the same. Like you think they're gonna have this, like they're just like, yeah, like they're just, everything's the same. They just have a baby now.
Oh my gosh.
But in my mind, I always thought it was gonna be different.
I saw this TikTok yesterday, and it was this really young couple. They were 14 years old, and she got pregnant. They had the baby, and she has made all of her TikToks around being like a teen mom and whatnot. And it's just such an interesting story, because people will ask, oh, what do you do differently? And she goes, we do everything that parents do. We just happen to be younger. And because they're young, I mean, they're older than 14 now. They're probably like 16, maybe 17. But they have to live with their parents until they're 18, because I guess that's the law, perhaps. She said something like that. So it's just interesting, it doesn't matter what the circumstance looks like. Parents are going to parent, right? Like nothing changes. When we have a baby, we're going to be like, uh-oh, what the hell? We've never gone through this before.
No, we have to film during nap time or something. So
Who's going to do change the baby's diapers?
I mean, we'll both do it. That's why I'm waiting, because I know the responsibility.
That's true. That's
very
true.
So you can't just put a blanket on the chair and
Like our son, Benjamin.
give him a bone to go hide and stay occupied. Eventually.
So yeah, we're very happy, very excited for the birth of our sweet niece. Everyone's doing well.
And we'll be able to meet her here in like 6 weeks.
I know. Can't wait. She'll be huge.
She'll probably just drive herself.
She's such a nugget. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
so that'll be great. But yeah, we'll be able to. I'm sure we'll post some pictures soon once Brienne gets around to doing her official announcement, so you can see the cutie pie, and that'll be really nice. Precious. And you can find out the size of the child.
Let us know your guesses below based off of what we said. Maybe we'll do a giveaway if someone guesses right.
I'm sure Brienne would love that. We're doing giveaways on your child's size. Maybe Guinness Book of Records will give her something.
Okay, you're
I've
being
had a
little
lot
wild.
of these, yeah. I don't know what the largest baby of all time is, but
She's not that big. Anywho, so do you want to hear about my moon charged water?
Yeah, I mean,
You were
let's
dying
hear
to
it.
know,
No.
right?
I kind of make fun, but I'm actually super interested.
Well, because you've come around a lot. You've really seen how astrology is legit, at least in our lives.
Yes, absolutely. So what's the moon water?
Okay, so this is moon charged water. We had a new moon this morning. It was at, I think it was 7 o'clock. And basically, with new moons, it's really good to charge your water because new moons are all about new beginnings, manifestation, just like fresh starts and fresh slates. So you leave your water outside underneath the moon all night long with the intentions, whatever it is, if you're manifesting, if there's something you're trying to cleanse, clear out, and you can leave it out there. If you're into the whole crystal situation, you can charge your crystals too. You don't have to. And then you have your moon charged water, and you know, everything is energy. So if you take this and you drink it, what do you think's going to happen?
Well, how come you haven't finished it yet? Are you nursing it, or are you just you don't want to wield all the power at once?
I don't want to be too powerful at once.
Oh, okay. I got to tell you though, like when I first just read like horoscopes, I think if you think about astrology as a horoscope that you read in the newspaper back in the day or something online or whatever, and it gives you like a few sentences, it kind of doesn't go that deep.
Right.
But when you really start digging into it, and I think once we talked to Susan Miller, the astrologer, and you really start hearing about the stars and astrology and then how you like look back in your life and how the months kind of go as it's predicted in a really interesting way.
Weird.
But when you dive deeper into it, I definitely think there's something there, and I believe in energy, and I think that's why the whole thoughts are things, and what you put out is what you get when it comes to the laws of attraction. When you're in a hurry and you're frustrated, that's when you get the red lights. When you're just laid back and open, it's when you get the green lights, and that's kind of a metaphor for everything in your life. So that's why we're really working on me more than her, because she's naturally positive and awesome all the time. So for me, anytime that I feel grumpy or slouchy, I have to think of myself as grateful and blessed count my blessings and things I'm grateful for, and it brings me right back into it, because I'm like, let me focus on what I do have. I can have goals, but I focus on the things I'm grateful for, and I let that energy flow, because you want to attract things to you.
That's right. And it's quite interesting about this new moon because the new moon happened at 7:05 a.m. The sunrise happened to be at 7:22 a.m. and I guess that doesn't generally happen where it's right at the same time. So they're saying it's really powerful. So from 7:05 to 7:22 Eastern to really manifest if that's something you're doing. So I went out there this morning on our balcony and I was doing my manifestations and people were walking by and they were probably like, what's this crazy girl up to? I'm like, I'm manifesting, baby, because it's powerful. But you feel really good after it. And if at the very least, at least you're filling your brain with really great intentions and things that you want to do and not wasting your energy on something else. So if it makes you feel good, you do it. And that's why I did it. In other news, we had a very eventful day yesterday. We went out to the Clearwater area and had a day filled with exploring the area, looking at different properties for a client. And I gotta say, I love Clearwater. What were your thoughts on it?
It was great. I think it was the first time we've ever been, so it continues to expand our exploring Florida and seeing new cities. And I just don't think we realize how large of a state Florida really is. I mean, it is so massive, and there are just so many cities. And I feel Florida is one of those states that you could probably name 12 cities.
Right.
Where if you think of even like my home state, Ohio, like maybe people know Dayton, Cincinnati, Columbus, Cleveland, Toledo. Do you really know like Youngstown or anything like that? Like, of course, Cleveland.
Right.
But I feel like that's kind of it. But I feel like with Florida, like you've heard of Tallahassee, you've heard of Jacksonville, you've heard of Gainesville, you've heard of Orlando and Sarasota and Siesta Key
and Miami and
Boca.
And
Fort
endless.
Lauderdale and Fort Myers and Clearwater and St. Petersburg. Like there's like a lot of really known places. So yeah, it was about an hour and 20 minutes west.
Yep.
And it's another really awesome beach town. And we had a very eventful day. I think it was the first time that we actually did a hop from address to address.
Yes.
Like, I feel like any client in the past that we've looked for has kind of been like a one-off where it's like, hey, can you go do a virtual tour for this?
Right.
And then like 3 days later, we'll go do this. And then, of course, with your parents, it was like the first one they saw. So this was the first time we actually got to work with a client and like hang out and go place to place. And I almost felt like we were part of that, like one of those real estate shows.
Oh my gosh.
Where you're like, so we started having nicknames for the house. Like, this is the Bell House. This is the ocean view. This is the golf view. This is the remodel or the townhome or the dinner bell. Like, whatever it was. And it was just fun to explore new areas and check out the places.
And yesterday, we went up the west coast of Florida, which is really such a stunning, beautiful area. I just love it so much. And we started a little bit more south in what they call South Pasadena. And I was like, oh, there's a Pasadena in Florida too. What do you know? And then we started going up the coast, ending up all the way at Tarpon Springs. So starting from the starting point to the end, I think it was maybe like an hour and some change that we drove up. But it was really cool to explore, and there were so many different properties, and I was really thrilled to see the bang for your buck when it comes to condos. Even houses, we're going to go check out a house tomorrow, but when it came to condos in those areas, you really can get a lot. You can get a beautiful view for, in my opinion, a great price.
It is. This is the same thing even in Orlando, is a townhome and or condo. Really the only downside, if you're looking at it financially, is that their taxes are usually like kind of average, but the HOA is what gets you.
Or condo fee, but sometimes they're not that bad. Some of them were high, some weren't horrible.
No, well, compared to a house.
Right.
So if you have a house, at the end of the day, though, you need to either upkeep it or you need to hire it out.
Right.
So if you are saving $400 a month on HOA, but then you need to hire someone to clean the pool, cut the lawn, do the shrubs, if you don't do it yourself, where a condo feels like you just open the key and you're basically renting, it almost feels. You have no responsibility unless something breaks inside. But with a house, it's cheaper. And that's what's really interesting. Some
houses are. Some aren't, though. Depends on your area.
Well, the area, I'm saying if it's the same price, like a condo that's hypothetically $300 or a house that's $300, it's gonna be about $500 a month cheaper to own the house because of the fees.
Right.
So that just depends on if somebody cares about budget.
Yeah, definitely.
Then that's a big deal.
Definitely.
If you don't want neighbors, that's a big deal. But if you want just more that like turnkey, like a condo's so much more simple. Because you don't have to spend your time.
Well, yeah, and again, that's the difference in what every client wants, right? So some people are like I'll have some people come to me and they go, I absolutely have to have a pool. They want all the space possible, but then others are like, no, I don't want the upkeep.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting to watch too. So it's just really based on each person's lifestyle, what you're looking for at the moment. I even go with, like my sister. And when I talk to her, she wants playgrounds in the area and things to do with the girls, which makes so much sense, because they're a young family. So every different client has specific needs that are different. And I just love exploring that. It makes it fun and different each time.
And you start to get to know what people really want, because when you buy a house, it's an emotional journey. Even when you look for a place to rent, you're just up and down because you like a place, but then there's like a big drawback, and then you have to start kind of making like a deal with yourself where you're just kind of like, well, this is a further drive, but I really like the area. This one's a lot more expensive, but the HOA's low. And you start piecing together these puzzles. But when you sit and listen to people on the phone, listing what they want, you can kind of actually piece it together as the realtor more than the person after you spend some time, because they're just like their heart and soul's into it, where we're kind of more objective in the sense of like, hey, you told us like you don't want neighbors on top of you, or that you really care about this, and like this one you like, but what about this? They're like, oh, I never thought about that. You're so right. So you can kind of like be the voice of reason to help people out, and I think that's really cool.
Absolutely. I used to feel, the show House Hunters?
Yeah.
I used to feel like, oh, that's kind of BS. How can they not find something that it's just perfect, everything they want? But it really is real life because, you can't control the market as a realtor. What goes up and off the market, I can't control.
No.
I don't know what's out there. I don't know who's making other offers. So sometimes you really do go, hey, look, I know you really wanted this location, but if you want this location so bad, you're going to have to say bye-bye to the half bath or whatever it is. And you really have to help them figure out what is that little wiggle room that they can do. So it just, you never know what's going to happen. And I think that makes it exciting.
And it's also like the more you look around, then people and ourselves, because we're still new to areas, but we become educated so that things start becoming more of a reality. Because once you go look around, like even as we're looking for your sister, when you get a list of things that they want, but when you start going out there and you go, that doesn't exist. Like everything you want for that price. Doesn't really exist. Right. There's a couple things that you're gonna have wiggle room, but once you see 5, 6, 7 places, you go, okay, now I don't really care about how close the neighbors are. I care more about this. So that's off the list. Now you're getting closer to like what it wants. So with each person, it's a puzzle. And so I'm really excited. We're going back tomorrow to like the St. Pete area. Or what's it called?
Tarpon Springs and
Richmond or something?
Oh, Newport Richie.
Newport Richie. Yep. So we're going to go look, and it's just exciting. It's a big deal. It's not like you're just shopping for like a new pair of shoes. I mean, buying a house is a very big, important purchase, and it's an emotional time. Like it's just fun. Like you're with somebody who really cares about this decision,
It's life-changing.
It's like it's even bigger than buying a car. It means so much because it's attached to family. Like with her sister, it's like, well, where am I going to where are my kids going to go to school? And if I pick this area, they're going to meet best friends that are going to be with them for life because we chose this area. But if we choose this area, they're going to grow up in a whole different life. Like these decisions matter. Or like, is there an extra bedroom for when the kids come and visit? Or with your mom and dad, like wanting to be close to us. And we were working with a couple other clients that have other needs as well. And we're piecing everything together. But it's fun. I love hopping house to house.
I do too. And speaking on the family end of it, I think one of my favorite parts about witnessing everything when it comes to different families or just an individual purchasing a piece of real estate, that is going to be the home where they're going to make memories. I mean, even when I go down to South Florida, and my dad does the same thing too. My dad was just in South Florida a few weeks ago, and I saw him the other day, and he was showing me pics of the 2 different houses that we lived in when I was growing up. And there's something about attaching those memories to a property that you go, oh, what's it look like now? And it makes you think about that time in your life. So when we were at one of the condos yesterday, when we were out looking at different showings, I saw in one of the rooms, they had those height markers for all the kids that grew up there. And I mean, it was years and years and years because it started here, went all the way up there, and you just can kind of get a slice of the history of different families and what happened there. So I love that part of it because I know that each client I'm helping out, I'm like, this is going to be a really special time for you.
Yeah.
You're going to make a lot of life memories here and a lot of great things are going to happen. So it's interesting. I love it all. I love every little piece of it.
And then also like, when you can like see the different taste that people have, like every house you walk into, unless it's a new build, those are pretty cookie cutter in the sense of like you kind of can imagine what that would be. But when you're looking at slightly older places or even like 2012, or in the 80s, 70s, 90s, early, like whatever it may be, like below 2015, there's like a different kind of taste that each person has and each kind of character. So you walk into a house and they have the furniture, the paint, the everything set up that they want. And then you kind of have to imagine, well, what does your client want? And how can they kind of move this around? Is it going to be expensive? Is it just furniture? Is it paint? Like, is there like, what's it going to be? But yeah, every single condo we went to yesterday had a different personality.
100%.
And you can learn so much about the owners just by like the knickknacks or the books that are on the coffee tables. And it's a private kind of moment. You know what I mean?
Because you're going into someone's house.
Yeah, so it's very difficult, and we obviously, out of respect, like we wish we could, take videos, but it's a private thing, so we don't want to put that on the internet. But there are
Sure.
certain little videos you did on your stories that were like just enough to show, but not really showing.
And a lot of those were vacant too. When it's vacant, I think that's kind of free game. But if
Yeah.
someone's living there, or maybe, it's still someone kind of goes in and out, it's a little bit different. But, a quick seller's tip, if you're ever selling and a lot of people are coming in, sometimes if you take a couple personal photos down when people are coming to look, they can envision themselves better in the home as opposed to seeing just all these pictures of people because they're like, wait, who's that? It allows you to kind of really just indulge and go, could I see myself here? You want the clients to come in and go, wow, I could really envision my life here, because ultimately that's what is going to sell the property. So it's just interesting, all the little things that you pick up as you're going through each property, because they're all different and they're all exciting for that reason.
Yeah.
But there's never a dull moment.
Well, and for me too, I don't do much talking, especially when we're with like another agent or with the client, just because it's like, it's Alyssa's doing her thing. So I'm more like in the background, but I'm able to like take everything in. And so I love even listening to, and we can take notes on it, when selling agents are there.
Yeah.
There's things that they will do that I go, oh, that felt good. I like that. That's a good tip. And there's things they do that I go, that doesn't feel right. Like we should never do things like that. And like even this whole, like, I feel like a common thing is a sense of urgency, which can be true. And it's a really great tactic when it comes to sales. But at the same time, it's also like sometimes unnecessary.
Well, so there are two things on that. It's been very interesting to watch the market change from spring till now, because the market is still very hot and could be considered the seller's market. But back in spring and summer, I mean, people were getting just insane amount of offers. Some houses were even 100K over asking. I mean, it was absolutely insane. Cash here, cash here, cash here. And I guess you could say the fever's kind of broke a little bit. It's cooling down because, some properties are staying on the market for a week or two. And every now and then you're starting to see offers like 5K below asking. And that's the one that went through. So it's interesting now to watch how much it's changed from summer till now, because with some of the listing agents, they're writing me after or calling me the next day saying, how did the showing go? What did your client think? And a short 3 months ago, that was not the case. No listing agent would be calling you.
The energy changed.
Yeah, it really did. So it's just interesting to watch. And that's the thing with real estate in the market. There really is no crystal ball. Of course, there are going to be experts who can give you their opinion, and, watching the market trends and seeing what's happening every day. That's the best kind of guidance that you possibly could get. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I really do believe the next few months, it's going to cool down a bit. It's the holidays. Everyone just wants to be with their family. No one really wants to move. School just started.
Yeah.
And I truly believe by next spring is always the busiest season for people to purchase homes. So I think it's definitely still, there's lower inventory than there's ever been. So there's that. But I think things are going to kind of
It's just
equalize.
normal now.
Yeah.
It just seems like, like, what are you looking for? Here's 5 options. And you're like, wow. Where before, with her parents, there was no option. I mean, it was, if you aren't ready at midnight looking, and they're like, oh, there's a house, but even if you do happen to get an appointment, you're one of 19 that make an offer.
Yeah.
So it was like a weird time. So we really got a taste of that May through end of July, biggest rush, I think the biggest seller's market of all time.
And what's really cool was being a listing agent during that time on a property, because we had
that felt weird. Yeah,
100
because people were like begging almost.
Yes.
They're like, "Hey, like the leverage." But I also felt
so
was
bad.
like, I think I've said this before. It just felt unearned in the sense of like, we're like listing this house, but everyone's coming. I'm like, we don't like it's for sale. Like best
Give the
offer is
best
gonna win.
offer.
Like I don't. Like, thank you. But like they were coming to us as if we could do a favor kind of thing, because people were so desperate in those times. But it got your client such a great deal on their house.
Excellent
and they
deal.
sold it at the right time, because who knows what's happening now in that area. But
Agreed. Prices definitely, though, have still been higher. And it was crazy thinking about that property in Winter Garden, because there were 100 people who came to an open house. And it was crazy because, you get to know other agents and they want to talk to you. And having that rapport with someone, you could be like, well, maybe they'll, put a good word in for my offer. And so you get all these character letters, and or not character letters. Well, I guess they are kind of like that, where the potential buyers write to the sellers saying,
yeah, we have 3 kids, and
yeah,
they do,
oh
and
my
it pulls
gosh,
on your heart.
Yes, I'm such a sap, and I would read through them. I'm like, this is up to y'all.
I don't know what we would do, because I feel as much as I have a big heart when it comes to a business transaction, it's like, look, this guy doesn't care about this house at all, but he's offering $15K more. They have 3 kids and they are pulling on my heartstrings, but I got to take the $15K more. But some people don't. Some people are literally like, no, I grew up in this house and I care who's in it.
Yeah.
And other people are like, that's great. So you said $15K more, go ahead and sign. So it just depends. So we have never felt that attached to a home. So I guess I can't really speak on that. But
in the end, that seller went with, I believe, the best deal, but it was a really excellent family, so it was kind of the perfect marriage.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was great. Awesome experience. I'm excited to see what's going to happen the next few months, because we have quite a couple deals.
We have 4 clients right now that we're working with, and it's just fun. It's so exciting, and it gets you back in the game. It's very similar to acting.
Yeah.
It's just like auditioning, and it's where you have like opportunities to work with people, which is something that I think has truly enhanced our life, because me and Alyssa have been basically working for ourselves and by ourselves for the past 4 years. And now that you've gotten into real estate, we're actually working with others. So we're helping a client sell or buy a home, which is so much fun. Then you're working with like mortgage lenders, and you're working with your brokers, and you're working together as a team. Like everyone's bringing something to the table, and it's so much fun. And I think that was something that we were missing, because obviously me going to work when I was on days, I had that people, but at the end of the day, I worked like 20 hours a week. So a lot of the work was still just us. So I love that it's like a big group and that you get to meet people, but then you get addicted where we're like, who else needs a house?
Yeah.
We're on the road. Yeah. Like, where do you want to go? Like, where do you want to be in Florida? Like, we'll go. I'm down to just learn and go, and just, it's just so much fun. So
question,
it's really been great.
What are your thoughts on a scale 1 to 10? Would you ever be interested in getting your real estate license?
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's growing because, but I'm still able to help and enjoy in the fun, but then you do all like the contract work,
That's true. And like the contract work.
And she's got the, the brokerage meetings and then the trainings, which I think are phenomenal. But she also fills me in. I do my own, research, and I do my own. So I actually know a lot. But it's in the most like laid back way. But I feel like I should get them at some point, because it will help us.
Yeah.
It's been bugging me that, I have so many people who visit my Instagram profile, and they don't know you're an agent.
Sure.
So if there's somebody who's looking for a house in Florida, I can't legally put anything unless I say, hey, my wife's an agent, but that just comes off weird to me. So if I was an agent, it would just help on marketing purposes, where I can go real estate agent, Florida, actor, podcast, blah, blah, blah. So I think just for marketing purposes, it might be worth becoming an agent, because it'll help us acquire more clients.
Sure.
Which is ultimately, the goal. So we'll see. But I'm getting closer, because I'm really starting to get a taste of the game, and it's fun.
Isn't it fun? It's a little addicting.
And the relationship, like the woman that we're working with now is so wonderful. Mm-hmm. Like we became like instant buddies within just 3 hours, because you're not just shooting the S, like talking about the weather. You're in an emotional, like 3 hours of people sharing about their family, what they want. It's like, it bonds you so much quicker than just a random person you go get lunch with that you're just trying to get to know, because you have to ask those tough questions to really make a deep connection. But with real estate, you hear like about the stories, and it becomes emotional. So
but you
it's
also
fun.
have an end goal. So the two of you get together, and you're like, okay, do you like this? Yes, I love it. Let's go see it. Then you go see it. Oh, wait, I didn't like that. But then, oh, do you like this? Yeah, let's go see it. You go see it.
It's a bit of a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you come together to figure out what the best way to win is. So
Exactly. So I'm getting closer.
I'm getting
closer.
Well, speaking of games, we watched
Squid Game.
Now, I heard this one talking about it for so long. Well, I mean, it wasn't so long. I guess it was probably a couple days, but he kind of wouldn't stop talking about it. I was like, man, was it that good? Here to report, yes, it was that good and so much more. I feel like for probably 2 days afterward, I couldn't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
It just was so interesting. It was so well thought out. The writing and directing were fantastic. The foreshadowing, all of the just different storylines and people and relationships were second to none. The set design was insane. All of those beautiful colors. And I love to. Now, obviously, this show, it's a little intense, right? So for anyone who doesn't know what it's about, how would you describe it?
I mean, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but you'll still enjoy it. It's essentially a place where elites recruit a bunch of people who are in financial trouble to compete in children's games, such as red light, green light, to win money. But there's like kind of a sick twist to it. And there's just so many levels, and I don't want to ruin it. And I will say, because I watched a lot from one of these TikTok videos that I made, you have to do it in subtitles. So when you watch it on Netflix, watch it in Korean with English subtitles. Don't dub it in English, because you're going to lose all of it. You're going to realize it's fake because you're listening to it in English dub. But if you actually watch it, we didn't even know any of these Korean actors. So you're also not like, man, that's Brad Pitt. He's doing a great job. Like, we didn't know any of the actors or actresses. You're also laser focused. You can't look at your phone or take a bite of anything because you'll miss it because you're reading it. You're just so locked in. It was so good that I rewatched it with her.
Yeah.
Like, I watched it on Saturday, and then I think I started watching it on Sunday with you, and it's just that good. It was from top to bottom. There was zero fat on that entire show. Probably the best constructed show that I've ever seen.
100%.
Just unique. I've never talked about a show like this so much. And
here's the thing,
it.
too. For me, I'm generally not like someone who likes any gore, or you watch your action films. I'm like, go have fun, honey. When I first heard about the show, and that's why I didn't watch it the first time, I was like, based on the synopsis, I don't know if that would be my jam. I don't know if I'd be interested in watching that. But the way that they do it when they're playing these so-called games, it's a masterpiece. The music they put with it, like just everything. And it made it easier to watch if that's a thing for you. But man, there was one episode, and based on the relationships that these characters created, the acting, the writing, I sat there when the episode was over and I sobbed for like 6 minutes because I was so touched. It was just so good. And I don't know the last time I've watched something where once it's over, I'm still like, oh my God. Like, I don't do that in general. So it was a moment for me. And I was like, man, for something to really affect me like this. And I have to say too, watching in subtitles, you have to put your phone away because you don't want to miss a beat. If this is something that you're just going to kind of put on in the background, you are not going to enjoy it. Yeah. You'll miss everything because there are a lot of twists and turns, really clever writing, and you have to be fully focused. So it allows you in a weird way to truly unplug, because I don't know the last time I've watched anything without my phone right here. But whenever I would put this on at night, I go, my phone's going to be charging in the other room, and I'm fully focused. And that was kind of a nice break because I feel I haven't had that experience in years of just truly focusing and unplugging. And I want a season 2 so bad. So we'll see what happens. I think the director and writer said he's definitely going to bring in a team for this next go around because it was a lot. It's this one guy who did it all. And I also read too, he wrote all of the episodes and finished them in 2008. And the industry said, no, 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 no. And what do you know? Cut to today, it was finally made. It's been released legit, like worldwide.
Yeah.
And it's the #1 trending show all over the world. So for a reason, it's really, really good.
And the timing might have been, I mean, maybe it wouldn't have hit, maybe it wouldn't have played as well in 2010.
That's true, too.
Maybe. I think it still would have because it was flawless. But there's just something about where we are right now.
I've read a lot, though, that when it comes to Korean entertainment, that everything is so well thought out and perfectly executed. Every story arc, every character, just as what we watched. Because I've read a lot about this, because clearly I get obsessed with things and I have to know everything. And apparently that's really how all of their films and television shows are, that you really get that. They take a lot of their time and energy.
That's interesting.
So
I wonder what their volume is. Like maybe they don't care as much about, because the United States has, I mean, they've started producing, this was probably always been like this, but a lot of these artsy or well thought out kind of things, it's really hard to push it through because you have to just prove numbers. Like at this point, it's like, we'll give you 200 million, but how are you going to make 2 billion on this? And it's just, I think with us, it's just so much volume that every now and then there'll be a great film, but maybe with Korean films and shows, maybe they're...
Well, South Korea has what, 30 million people?
I have no idea.
I think that's right. Let's ask Siri. Hey Siri, what's the population of South Korea? Oh, 51 million.
Wow.
Huh. So, that being said, I bet those statistics and the data is different with America and our 330 million people versus, I mean, if it starts like that, obviously this went global, so that's a little different.
It depends on where you sell it to, because I know a lot of the films are being sold to China, which is where a lot of these global box office numbers come in. Like, I don't even think domestically, some of like the Rock's films or like some of these big movies, I think they're banking on the idea that it'll do 800 million in China.
Interesting.
So it's like the US 160 million, and then like overseas is like 500 million. So they're in their minds going, you know, that's a whole other podcast to break all this down. But there's a lot that goes into it. But it's, you know, it's a money business, but you can also sneak in some of the art pieces.
What isn't, right?
Yeah.
But I would love to look into that. Just what really goes on behind the scenes. And obviously, I mean, we've seen there are a lot of indie passion projects people try and get out there, but at the end of the day, a lot of these people know what's going to make the money, and that's why those projects get made.
Well, yeah, because if you're going to give someone $20 million, you probably want 30 million back at least.
Yeah.
So that's how you have to prove it with what stars are attached. And
remember that documentary, Seduced and Abandoned? Didn't they say, was it Alec Baldwin that they were saying, basically they were trying to pitch their show and they're like, yeah, Alec Baldwin, you won't sell. Was it him?
His name was only worth $4 million. So one of the producers were like, I don't need to read the script. I don't care what the script is. I just need to know who's attached so I can run the numbers. But Alec Baldwin during that time was only worth $4 million to investors. So he wanted $10 million for his film, but they're like, you're only going to bring in $4 million. You're Alec Baldwin. You need to get other people attached that will guarantee the 10
So
mil.
did he ever get anyone, an actress, right?
I think they kind of did. I forget. We should really rewatch that again because it's been years.
Yeah.
But
I wonder if they made it. I don't even remember.
I don't know.
Huh. We should watch that.
But they said 95% of making a film is getting the financing. Mm-hmm. Only 5% of the whole process is actually making the film. So it's a money business. And you have to prove the marketability. And that's why it's so important as well, even for what we're doing. When I talk about acting traditionally, you know, my marketability matters more in today's world than so many other factors on the list.
Yeah.
Unless I'm being chosen as like the second or third person in a movie or show because the number one person is who they've banked on. They're betting on this film because of Jeff. He'll bring in the 20 million and Freddie's, you know, actor number 3 or 4 and he's a good actor and we're going to pick him. But if I needed to bring marketability to a film, I only have so much, and that's why it's important for us of why we continue to build our social media, because that is what's growing our marketability, so that one day in the future, if we want to make a film or we want to go to the traditional route, you have more leverage. Because even though I worked in the industry for 10 years, they're like, great, you can act, but the marketability for somebody who was on The Walking Dead or somebody who's on Modern Family is going to crush me 1,000 times out of 1,000 times unless they already have the A-lister and I just happen to be there. So they go with who's going to bring the ticket sales the most.
And you see a lot of times from some really, really well-known people that it's incredibly hard to get their projects made. I think it was a director. He had a ton of Oscars and he threw them out of his window because he's like, these don't
Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the documentary.
Is that where I know that from?
He threw his 6 Oscars out the window because he goes, these are pointless, because he couldn't get funding. And because they just don't care. They're like, we need to see the whole money. Ryan Reynolds, I think, had Deadpool for 10 years before he got it made. Superbad they had forever. So a lot of these big, like, passion films from these A-list stars, they needed, like, 10 years of fame and in the making to get it made. Because Ryan Reynolds in 2006 probably could bring in $4 million. Ryan Reynolds of 2021 can bring in $30 million.
Wow.
So you have to like build your thing. And then even with Good Will Hunting, that was years ago when the industry was a little different. But I think Robin Williams being attached is what got that greenlit, because Matt and Ben weren't famous, marketable.
Did they do that back in the day? It might have been easier per se because everyone was doing the traditional way. Like maybe it was less competition because now I feel like everyone has reach to these different contacts or the yes people, where if you really were going to, pitch a script, you had to do your research, you had to get the address, you had to know. Because I remember when I moved to LA, you could get these books from, was it Samuel French? Mm-hmm. It was Samuel French. There's this little bookshop and it closed down, so sad. But you could go and you could see all of the agents and managers in the town, and you had to buy this book from Samuel French, and it'd have their addresses if you want to send submissions. And now, I mean,
who knows? I heard a rapper say that back in the day had its challenges because they were only going to pick 1 out of 1,000. But today's challenge is that everybody is making music, so now you have to stand out between all the musicians. Oh. So it's still just as difficult, but just a different kind of hard. Sure. But I will take the current hard because we're in control of it.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you literally could be a starving artist and never make it.
Yeah.
Because you could not do it yourself. Yeah. So I would much rather have the control to do it myself and than needing someone to say yes to me. Yeah. Like I don't need a manager and agent to win. In 1995, you did.
You had to. I even remember when Kelly Clarkson won American Idol. She was season 1 winner, and she got massively famous. I mean, she's still massively famous today. But a lot of well-known artists at that time would speak out and go, I don't agree with this. She got famous off of a show. This isn't artistry. Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, times were changing, and she ended up proving herself and being so incredible at what she did. But now, because of where the world's gone with social media, they've been able to cut out the middlemen. So it's just a whole new normal that you can put your music out, and if you're good enough or the video is that viral video with a viral song, your life can change overnight. So...
Well, you just attract them to you. Like for most people, if you're a 19-year-old kid making music and you get a viral video, managers, agents, and PR people are going to call you and labels.
Right.
And if you're sophisticated or have a good group of people around you and you could do it on your own, then you'll save a lot of money, make a lot of money, and have all creative control. But it's also not a bad idea if you're 19 and you do have a manager and agent who goes, hey there, young fella.
Right.
Because they have the business savviness to be like, here's the money, do your thing, we're going to handle all this if you can get a good person.
Right.
But it just depends on what you need. Mm-hmm. Some people are only artists and they need managers and agents and PRs and accountants to manage. Definitely. Because they just need to focus on creating, and they hate the marketing and the business side of it and the money side of it. Someone like us, we like that side of it.
Yeah.
Like I prefer to be able to have control myself and do my deals. That's what I did in the last 4 years of Days. Like they would call me directly and I'd negotiate my deal. It wasn't much negotiating because it was just kind of a fair thing that we did,
Yeah.
But I like that. Like I never understood of like, so you're just going to send me an audition and then I go and book it and then you're going to get 10% for 9 years. Well, because we were with you and no one, yeah, but you sent me an email. Like if it was posted online and I clicked
got you
submit,
the audition.
I know, but it's just it seemed like a lot.
It.
You know, it's different if you had somebody who was there with you, and for some of these actors who have 98 roles, it's basically the two things. I think that's where I fell in. People have said you need a manager when you're brand new or when you're Tom Cruise. Because when you're brand new, you don't have a clue and you need guidance. Mm-hmm. And when you're Tom Cruise, you need a manager because you can't read all the scripts, manage all the scheduling. Yeah. You can't call up this A-list film and say, hey, listen, Martin Scorsese, I can't be there on Friday. I'm doing this other film. You need a team.
Yeah.
But when you're in the middle like we are, I just think you just don't need it.
But I will say, too, about 90% of artists, actors, musicians are all about the artistry. Like they make jokes all the time about, oh, that person's an artist, because you have to be so into what you're doing and that passionate. Like I joke with you all the time. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're being a dramatic artist because you care so much about that piece of content that you're creating. So a lot of times you're going to see when it comes to artists, they don't want to do the business end. They go, you handle it, let me do what I'm good at, and that's why they don't. And that's why you have managers and agents. But for someone like you who thinks about all of those situations and things and you don't mind doing it, you're like, I don't get this. I want to save the percentage and let me do the work.
I just never felt like I got any value out of any representation that I had. Mm-hmm. That was my problem. It's like when I first moved out there, yes, I wouldn't have had the knowledge to be able to go to and do all this stuff. I had to figure it out myself. So I do give my early people credit. But when you start to learn how agencies work, and it's like you're looking at a breakdown and you're just clicking a button, submitting me, and it just doesn't make too much sense to me. Like I just like, of course you have to negotiate the deal and do all of that kind of stuff, but I just never felt like, why did I pay all this money? Like I don't understand what you did. Like, why didn't I keep that money? And like, no one helped me about my finances. No one told me what to do. Like, no accountant, manager, agent ever sat down and told me.
How many auditions did you go on?
500.
So do you truly believe, if you had access to all those breakdowns, that every single day you would have looked for auditions?
No.
So you got those auditions because of different representation.
Yes.
Which is why they get paid, because they're the ones who every day sit and go through every breakdown. They have a client list of 60 people, 100 people. They're trying to figure out who's going to be good for this role. They're trying to go, I know this casting office. They know me. They owe me a favor. I can get this new guy in and show him that I'm going to work really hard for him. And then that guy gets in who could have been you, and you booked it. So it all works in different ways. I mean, I totally get what you're saying, but it's still a lot of work to get someone in that door for a legitimate audition.
I think so. I mean, I think if you get me an audition for, it's like how I do even now with, like, I do have I guess you call her an agent or a manager. She's a management company.
Social media
who
manager.
Connects me with brands. So when I do my brand deals, but you rarely audition. It's basically just offers based on, they can just look at your book of work.
Numbers, yeah.
But that to me is valuable because it's very cut and dry. It's like you're going to get a percentage because you're giving me this deal. But with acting, it's like, if I book a commercial and you got me audition, here's 10%. But I think the thing that gets me is like, there are people who will audition and then book a show like Big Bang Theory for 10 years. And it's like that one audition, you're going to get paid for 10 solid years because you negotiate the contract after that.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
So, but I haven't been in that situation because like I said, I didn't have a manager and agent, but each manager I did have an agent did help in facilitating.
Sure.
But I guess grabbing like my potential at that time and really steering my career and helping me is where it all fell apart, because it was like I was working on the soap, but like where was the manager and agent who was like, all right, Freddie's on the soap opera, but he's off all these weeks. Like, we're getting him a big movie. We're going to do all this. Like, it was kind of like, oh, he's on days now, and like, we'll get him some stuff. But like, no one like really took charge and like helped me in my career. Like, you essentially got me auditions.
Well, but that's what a manager is for. A manager is like a personal trainer. They need to be there with you going, okay, this is what we're doing. I'm going to show you how you can do all of this great stuff, and this is the next thing. Agents are kind of more like, hey, we negotiate the deals.
And get you the appointments.
Yeah, but the manager, 100%, that is their job. And that's why people pay another percentage to them. So maybe it...
I just have a slight chip on my shoulder, and I'm excited to build on my own.
Absolutely.
That's just what it is. It's just kind of like, I want the pride of being able to be like, I can build on my own.
Sure.
And if the right person comes into my life, just like the wonderful woman who helps me with my brand deals, love her. Because it just feels like a fair exchange.
Definitely.
And now that I'm older too, and I'm more wise, like it'll be interesting to see who comes into my life. But yeah, I would say most of the time they did help, but I'm just...
I will say though, now in our life, I'm feeling really confident with the people that we're meeting, that we're attracting when it comes to business, friendships. Like, I just feel really good with a solid group of people surrounding us.
Yes.
Like, everyone we're meeting has been wonderful, just all across the board. Doesn't matter what it's for. So I feel very grateful for that. And on that, I'm going to drink my last sip of moon water, baby. Well, anywho, y'all, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. We had quite a fun little podcast today.
We did.
A lot of different topics, and I'm so excited for baby number 2, Auntie Life.
Auntie and Uncle Life. So, yeah, we'll keep you posted on everything. We'll be back here next Wednesday. So, thank you all very much. We appreciate you, and have a great week.